Welcome to Strictly Salina. I am Ann Knowles, and I am your host today. This program, Strictly Salina, highlights a variety of organizations in our community, both nonprofits and businesses. We like to provide all of you in our community, in our listening area, with information of interest so that we can be better informed and we can become more involved. If you would like to be on Strictly Salina, please get in touch with us. All you have to do is dial 785-823-2500. That is 823-2500. Today, we are most pleased to have as our guest Paul Fouts, who is the Education Curator. So, is a curator different than an educator?
No, I don't think so.
You're in charge of, though, aren't you? Curating
Yes.
is in charge of.
Yes, it oversees, I guess, things.
Do you mind if I tell you a little historical story?
Sure.
Back in the day, when Charlie Walker started and had the big barn, and you may have heard the stories about him deciding to add a few wild animals, and he would bring them into the big barn. For a long time, he did the draft horses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The Salina Art Center had their annual fundraiser there, and he would bring in the camels and we could ride on the camel. He had bears at that point. The whole concept of starting the zoo was community foundational. Mm-hmm. It was to do something for this community. Now, when my grandchildren visit and we go to the zoo, I marvel each time I go out at what a magnificent entity it is, just as a destination. And the fact that you are in charge of educational programs makes it just that much more important to our community. So, to begin with, tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I'm from Salina. I grew up here. I went to Kansas State, graduated there.
Good man.
Yeah. And then I got a job working with chimpanzees in Arizona for a few
whereabouts?
years. Near Phoenix. It was actually out in the desert. Private foundation you would have never heard about if you didn't know it was there.
Well, I lived in Arizona for 22 years,
Oh, did you?
But I was in Tucson. But what did you do with the chimpanzees in Arizona?
I was called a caregiver, so daily aspects of their care, feeding, medications, training.
How
that kind of
interesting.
Stuff. Yeah, it was very interesting.
And then that led to?
That led to, I kind of switched directions and I went into teaching. So basically, those decisions kind of led me here. You know, I have the chimp caregiving experience, which is kind of the zoology experience that I needed, and then I got into teaching, which I taught for 8 years in Colorado.
And were you in public schools or?
Public schools, yeah.
Okay.
And so that's kind of my foundation for where I'm at now. I did volunteer at Rolling Hills Zoo, though, when I was in college.
Did you?
I had an internship there in '99. And
I
fell in love with it when I was there.
I still love to go out and just feed the giraffes. I like doing that.
Yep, that is very popular.
We're all kids at heart, I think, in that regard.
Yeah.
So when you came to the zoo, did you come directly into this position that you have now as the curator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me what the educational program consists of. Give us a history and a foundation for what that is.
Well, the education department, I feel like, is one of the most important areas or aspects of the zoo.
Yes.
Because it is in so many different areas. You know, even the keepers educate the public. You know, it's not just our department, solely the education department. You know, the whole zoo is based on education. So we want to get the message across, primarily of conservation, protecting species in their natural habitat, that kind of thing. And so the education department works fundamentally on that aspect.
Do you have several key events during the year that are big highlights for the educational program? Maybe start by just giving our audience a little bit of a typical week this time of the year if I came to the zoo with children, or if I came with other adult friends, how can I learn?
Well, there's always signage in the park.
All right.
So the zoo kind of fluctuates seasonally. It's obviously you don't want to go to the zoo when it's -20 out in Kansas.
Right.
So there's a kind of a slow season, off season, and then we have a peak season. So educationally, you can always get that information about certain animals from signages, that kind of thing. There are certain educational opportunities kind of dotted throughout that off season in different ways. We like to go to places, so we have what we call a zoo to you, and we take the zoo to you. Well, that's the name of it, Zoo to You, to
I love it. I love it.
civic organizations and schools and that kind of thing.
Oh, so you're going and visiting and
so
educating.
We still do that during the off season for sure, and that's a way to kind of keep the community engaged with the
Yes.
zoo, even though they might not be coming out to the zoo.
And then going into a busier season, which I'm guessing is the summer.
Yes.
Why don't you outline some of the learning experiences that visitors can get?
Sure. For us, summer camps are our big thing. So they start in June, first week of June.
Okay.
And they go for 6 weeks.
Age specific?
We have 2 age brackets. So we have a 4 to 7 camp, and then we have an 8 to 12 camp.
These are day camps?
They are 3.5-hour camps. So
Okay.
8:30 to noon is when they start. And they're 4 days long, from
Okay.
Monday through Thursday. And then we have, on every Friday during that same time, we have what we call a junior zookeepers camp on Fridays. So that is a teenage group.
Okay.
And that camp is more directed towards learning more about what a zookeeper would do.
How interesting.
Yeah.
And some of these kids may want to do that.
Yeah, we've had students in that camp that have gone on to zoo careers, for sure.
So if I have a 7-year-old son visit me in the summer, and I said, this will be really, really exciting, we want to do this camp, what will take place in that 3.5 hours every day for 4 days?
Well, various things. We are restructuring this year a little bit differently than last year. Last year, every camp was its own camp. So it was a 3-hour camp, and the next day it would be different. So this year, we're basically we're trying to make it a week-long camp. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay all week, but every day builds upon the day before, and it all combines to a certain theme. So our theme this year is creating connections to conserve our animal friends. And each week we have ferocious friends, week 1, flighted friends, week 2, fragile friends. So kind of a play on words, but we hit different animal groups, and then each week those groups are focused on, and we do each day we do different activities for those animals.
So with ferocious friends, now that would be exciting to a grandson.
Sure.
What is that grandson likely to encounter with his ferocious friends?
Well, we focus on carnivores, so he's going to see the big cats, tigers, lions, snow leopards, that kind of thing, as well as wolves. We'll talk about Maine wolves. We'll talk about other wolves. So we try to focus on the animals that are in the park.
Right.
Because every day we take a zoo walk to a certain animal group or a certain animal itself. So we have, basically every day we have certain things that are every day. So every day your grandson will get an activity, some kind of game or theme-based activity based on that animal.
And would there be a zookeeper with a ferocious animal, or there would be up close and personal, not with the children, but with the zookeeper?
Yes, so that would be, I think, Thursdays. We have keeper encounter, keeper talk.
Okay.
So they would visit a keeper. But every day they're going to get an activity. They're going to get a biofact lesson. Biofacts are the skin, skulls, teeth, that kind of thing. They're going to get a snack. They're going to get a zoo walk to a particular group of animals, and they're going to get an animal showing. So we try to use our education animals along with that theme, and I think we have enough to...
So what is an education animal?
Education animals are the animals that are not on exhibit, but we use them for educational purposes. So we might bring out a ferret, or we might bring out an African bullfrog, that kind of thing. And so those are the animals, too, that we'll take to those organizations that I mentioned before. But then every day also there's going to be a different special kind of activity. So like Tuesdays they would do a special craft, and they would have a nature exploration activity.
So they take something away with them.
Sure.
The craft, I suppose they might even be doing some drawing in addition to building something.
It'll vary depending on what the theme is. Like Mondays we'll make enrichment for the education, or excuse me, make enrichment for the animals on exhibit. So if it's Ferocious Friends Week, we might, on Monday, those campers would create a piece of enrichment for the lion or for the cougar,
Oh,
something
how
like
fascinating.
that.
It helps them appreciate the breed.
And so if they're there on Monday and they stay till Thursday, they're going to see us give that enrichment to them on Thursday.
So on Monday, it might be Ferocious Friends. On Tuesday, it might be Flying.
No,
No,
the
it
whole
will
week
be
could
the
be
whole week
Ferocious
will be
Friends.
on one
Yeah.
species,
And then
one
the next
general
week
grouping.
would be Flighted Friends.
How long do these camps go on during the summer? I mean, from when to when?
So the first week of June, I think this year is June 4th would be the first day, and then I think July 12th is the last day. We don't have camps on 4th of July. But,
Okay.
Yep, Monday through Friday for that period of time.
What other educational focuses does the zoo have in addition to this kind of activity?
In addition to camps,
Uh-huh.
we have overnights. Overnights are a big hit. We have public overnights, and we're doing 4 of those this year.
Are you in charge of those, Paul?
I stay for some of them for sure, but they're a lot of fun. The kids have a great time. We do a campfire, we do a nighttime zoo walk, we do a flashlight tour of the museum.
Now, where do they spend the night?
In our Discovery Center.
Oh, yes,
Normally, yeah.
yes.
It's our kind of our education
Right.
hub. So, yeah, it's great. And it's educational too. We do animal showings for the overnights as well, and
It's just a kid's dream, it seems to me, really.
they
Children
love it,
love this kind of thing, I would think. And the age group goes up. You said something about a high school where they're learning about zookeeping. And that is a one-day kind of a thing.
It's one day, but it's a 6-week, or excuse me, it's a 5-week program. So
Okay.
our regular camps are 6 weeks. JZK is what we call it, is 5 Fridays.
Do you mind repeating the age groups?
JZK, the Junior Zookeepers, is 13 to 18 years old, and then the elementary camps, I guess we would call them, are 4 to 7 and 8 to 12.
Okay.
And this year, another thing that we're doing different is the 4 to 7s and the 8 to 12s are all going to be there at the same time from 8:30 to noon. Last year, we had 4 to 7s in the morning, 8 to 12s in the afternoon. So, but they will not be together themselves. They will be with a program lead, and the other group would be with a program lead in a different place.
Okay, we've taken care of the kids. Do you have, other than visiting clubs and nonprofits to educate them in off-season, are there things, what events do you curate for adults? Anything?
Educationally, sure, we do meet and greets with our giraffes and rhinos. That's kind of a newer thing.
All right.
But it's more adult oriented, and we do groups up to 6, and they get behind the scenes encounter with those animals. They get to feed them. They learn about their personal histories, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We do help a lot on events too, like with Tracy that you had on a while back. So
there are some wonderful events that take place there during the year. Are you starting anything new that you would like our audience to know about that will take place in 2018 and 19?
New, I don't think anything that we are trying out for the first time that has never been tried before. I think what I've been in the process of doing since I arrived there is kind of trying to refine what we have.
Absolutely.
And make it fit our personnel that we have now.
So educationally, knowing that there's this new group of creatures is going to be at the zoo, like when we had snakes, would you have an educational series, or would you just be welcoming people to the zoo and educating them as they go through those exhibits?
Are you talking about the exhibits that are always on?
Yeah, or when you have visiting exhibits too, though.
Yeah, we do have a traveling exhibit coming this summer.
And what will that be?
That is the art and science of arachnids, so spiders, scorpions. That kind
So
of thing.
will you do a special educational event or series of events for that?
Our main focus is going to be on the camps, but we have a whole week devoted towards insects, and arachnids aren't technically insects, but we'll hit the arachnids for sure that week.
So one last comment about how people can learn about the educational opportunities at the zoo.
Well, the best way is probably to visit our website. We have a brand new website up and running. Not new information, but just a new look. And I saw it today. It's actually got put out today. And
is it Rolling Hills?
It's rollinghillszoo.org. It's the same address. And our education webpage on that site is fully functional, and it's very easy to navigate. You'll find out about I really only touched on a few educational programs that we do because literally it would take all day to list all of them. But you can find all of those on the education section.
Thank you so much for being here today. And I want the audience to take the time to go to your computer and to go to rollinghillzoo.org and find out this wonderful, wonderful opportunity that we have right here in our midst in Salina, Kansas. Paul, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.